Hey guys, let's see, I'm just checking everything out here, make sure everything's ready to roll, and then we will get rolling here. So, we got 5 people on here. Who we got on here now? Let's see if we can get this rolling. We got a lot of good news on here about SRRV tonight. So if any of you guys want to ask any questions about SRRV, feel free to, talk about that, because we got that stuff that's going on at the PRA, and they're allowing people in here to come in and start the SRRV process with the EED. So that's really good news. We got a lot of good news here, guys, that's going on. But let's see, who do we got on here tonight? Nobody's on here talking yet, so we'll see who's. Let's see, we're up to 6 people, 2 thumbs up. JM Ramiro, any updates when can travelers go there? Well, JM, we just got some news today. They're letting people in here for the SRRV visas, the applicants. They're letting them in if they want to start it. Let's see, Smoky Mountain Modeler. Good evening, Steve. Have a fresh coffee and ready to roll. There we go. Brooke Snyder is in here. Evening, Steve-O. How you doing, Brooke? Tom Pear. Good evening, Steve. What's going on, guys? So we got let's see, we're up to about 14 already. 6 thumbs up. Jack Redmond, JM Ramiro. So let's get some questions going here. Is that for regular tourists, JM asked? That's actually for people that want to become like retired residents over here. It's a retiree visa, okay? And it's, if you were in the military, it's fairly cheap. It's only about $3,000 total, and $1,500 of that you can buy a condo with, or you can get a long-term lease with that. So then it ends up only costing you $1,400, JM. Daniel Moore, good evening, Steve. Haven't been able to watch live streams for a few weeks. That's okay, man. We're gonna be doing this every week. If I'm not on here, it's because I'm either sick or I've been busy. Let's see, we got John Wales on here. Hey, Steve, gladly to finally be awake on Saturday night. There we go, John. John, what happened to Sunshine Shoulders? I got like 3 comments that somebody knocked out his front teeth today in the comment section. Is that true? Let's see. J.M. Ramiro, I'm a veteran, but I don't retirement age yet. Are there any other types of visas available for regular tourists right now? No, not right now. JM, there's not going to be anything until they open up fully, unfortunately, So, I mean, the only way you can get in here right now is on the SRRV, and that's if you're 50 years or older, okay? So that's the only way you can get in here. But, let's see. Yeah, John, I almost called you earlier to find out what was going on, because people were posting that, and then somebody sent me an email, too, about it. So I don't know if it was true or not, but, I just figured I'd ask you. USA to Philippines live. Hey, Steve. Hello, everybody. Let's see. But, yeah, as far as opening up here, guys, I wouldn't even hope for that till, I don't think that's going to happen till next year. I figured we might get it this year. We will get a few people in here before next year, like with the SRRVs. We will get a few, but it won't be a lot, Let's see. John Wells says, not that I know. I saw him around noon. He looked fine to me. Okay, so around noon? Because it was about, I'll say about 7 hours ago when I got all those things. Okay, so that's what I heard. Actually, if you want, I can send you the comments, or if you look, you can look through one of my most recent videos. It's got the comments in there. See, Tom Pear, your sound is cracking up. Is it just me? I don't know. Does anybody else have any problems? It might be rubbing up against my shirt or something. This microphone's a little bit touchy, more so than the other one. Far from home. Good evening, Steve and chats. Relax says, hi, Steve. Thanks for going live. All the best to you. Mark Kimling, I'm at Starbucks practicing option scalping while watching Philippine info channels. Stay frosty. There we go. Brooke Snyder says the sound is good. So it must be yours, Tom. Everybody else is saying it's good. Smoky Mountain Modeler says it's crackling a bit. I think you're hearing this, like it's rubbing up against maybe my whiskers or something like that, or whatever. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to help that much, guys. Is it really that bad? Because I can't switch it out with another microphone right now, unfortunately. So sorry about that, guys. So Mark, you're doing some options trade. That's pretty cool, But let's see. Get some more. Let's get some questions going on here. We got Dickie Spaz on here. Good evening. Relax, not bad. Hello, Corlo from Colorado Springs. We got Sweden on here. Bertel, Seth. Smoky Mountain Model, no worries, Steve. Glad to hear any way possible. Yeah, I'm going to have to see if I can get another microphone sooner or later, you know. This one here is usually pretty good. I keep getting mine mixed up with my girlfriend's, so I probably got hers right now. She probably has mine, so she's looking at me kind of funny. I'm talking about our microphones, honey, because this one's kind of scratchy, they said. Kumusta po, Philippines. Hi, Steve, he says. But, yeah, to get back on the SRRV, guys, for you guys that are doing the SRRV, I know there's a few of you guys out there, look into that, you know, because that video that I did today, very good information coming out of the PRA. And granted, that's just like a trial thing, but that's probably going to be like the new norm if they can get this rolling and get it working really good. So if it does work out, we're going to have some good stuff going on with SRRVs. Now, if we can only get the tourist visas going. And also, guys, hotels are starting to have major problems over here. Down in Boracay, they're starting to sell off some of the hotels down there, and I heard that some of the hotels up here are complaining, and they're moaning that, you know, that they're going to have to sell out pretty soon, because if they don't open up soon, all the hotels are just going to have to close down. So it's getting bad. It's getting bad. People are starting to speak up a little bit more. So I think things are going to have to start moving soon, or they're just going to, you know, when they go to open, there'll be no places for tourists to stay. So that's just the way it is, and it's going to be that way. Brooke Snyder says only certain cities are locked down. It's been extended to a month. Yes, some cities are locked down, some aren't. James Corlo says, do you have any idea how to replace an expired retired military card from the PI? No, I have no idea how to do that. You know, no idea, man. Brooke Snyder, what is the average turnaround time for the SRRV visa with your lady doing the paperwork? Well, Brooke, if it really depends. I mean, with what they're doing right now, if it's under this new thing, we don't have any idea, and she doesn't even actually have an idea. It's usually when you show up at the door at the PRA and it starts, it usually takes about 3 or 4 weeks to get it done total, for you to get your card and everything and to do all the work. It's really fast. Mine was like about 2 or 3 weeks, I think, before I got my card. It was super fast for mine. You know, but it's not a hard process by any means. And with this, if you're inside the Philippines and you start this up, and people can do it from inside the Philippines, it's even faster, because they can give you waivers and stuff like that, and they'll give you time to get the papers, and you have so much time to get the papers, otherwise they pull your SRRV visa. So you can do it from inside the country and end up staying here. So some guys that are here already can do it. For whatever reason, I'm not sure why they don't want to, but they should be doing it. If you are on the tourist visa here, and you know they're going to boot you out soon, this is the time to do it for sure. Smoky Mountain Modeler says, I won't worry about the SRRV for another 12 months. We'll be in touch with Mary Rose. Yeah. Let me tell you guys something. The SRRV is the best way to go because of several reasons, and this is one of them. Because look at what has happened with these tourist visas now. They're booting these people out, and they got to leave everything behind. And that's why you want to come in here on a proper visa. I mean, I understand some guys are coming over here, and they probably have plans on getting married or whatever. That's a whole different ball game, you know, because then you can stay here. But the SRRV visa is even great for just married people, because if you ever go through a divorce or something, they can't kick you out because you're on the SRRV visa. So that's the good thing about the SRRV. See, Tom Pierce says, the Philippines will have to realize that whether we like it or not, the 2-week millionaires are the real cash cows they need to get back in. Yes. Because some of these guys that are coming in here, Tom, they're only spending like $1,000, $1,200 a month. You know, and initially they usually spend about probably like $5,000 to $10,000 to get their house set up or whatever. So it works with both. You know, it does work with both, and they, you know, but people coming in here, the average person doesn't come in with like 1,200. I think the average person comes in with like about 2,000. You know, that's what I think. And some guys come over here with $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a month coming in. There are people that come in here like that. There's a guy over near Tagaytay who he's a vlogger. He lives in a really beautiful home. I would probably bet you that he probably gets about $8,000, $10,000 a month. I don't know what he did before he came here, but lives in an exceptionally beautiful home, you know, and he gets a lot of money, you know. He does very well. Let's see, Jack Ribbon. I'm going to be in Red Planet Hotel in Manila Bay, October 4th for the 10-day quarantine. There you go, Jack. Yes, people are getting in here. It's about 1,500 a day, I think it is. They're only allowing so many in here a day. Once they hit that, they cut it off. So the lower people that had bought lower price tickets, some of them are being asked to stay behind because they already hit the quota. So once they hit that quota of 1,500 people, that's it. And some planes are coming over here with hardly any people on them. So there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. Dickie Spaz says, Steve, the problem I see on the visa issues is a lot of people are on a shoestring budget and completely unprepared, and then wonder why they run into issues or never actually visit. You're right, Dickie. It's true. A lot of people come over here now. It's even worse because you have to pay $1,000, you know, for your 10-day stay here, 7 to 10-day stay plus food and all that stuff. It's about $1,000. They say $1,500, somewhere around there, and it's not in a high-class place either. Plus, you have to get tests and all that stuff. So it ends up being around $1,000 when you're in quarantine or more. See, Brian Adamson says, I'm sorry I'm late. Brian in the UK. Good to see you, Brian. Dickie says, great info you have provided on the SRV. Thanks, Dickie. You know, that's the thing about the lady that I use as an agent. She's really on top of things. So it's good to have that connection for the channel, too. But she's awesome for you guys, too, because like I told you guys before, she doesn't charge you guys anything. She gets paid from the application fee. She gets paid directly by the PRA. So that's a good thing. So you guys get it done basically for free, because if you use an agent, the agent's going to get money from the PRA and they're going to charge you $1,000 to $1,500. You know, but my lady, she treats people really good. She takes care of all our people, you know, and I'm really happy about that. But that's why I tell people, if you use her, to, you know, give them a tip, whatever agent you use under her, because she has agents that work for her. Let's see, Brooke Schneider. Steve-O, what's your views on buying and building a house for you and your wife versus just continually renting? Renting's fairly cheap here, Brooke. I mean, if you're married, it's a different case. I think if you've been married for a while, yeah, I would say it's okay. But I'd be careful about that, Brooke. I'd be careful about that, you know, because if you go through a divorce here, there's issues, you know, because you might end up losing everything. Just be careful, you know. Alma Lee OFW says, greetings, Steve. Happy weekend. How you doing, Alma? Rick Devise says, good morning, Steve, from sunny Alberta. I missed the update. Anything new for foreigners entering the Philippines? Yeah, we got the... Watch today's video about the SRV. That's changed, Rick. So we were just talking about that a little bit. So you might want to watch that video, because you can get in here now on the SRV if you want to get in on that. Let's see. Edward says, hello from Spain. How you doing, Edward? Let's see. James D says, how do they justify low-price ticket prices against higher-price ticket prices for exclusion? I guess they just figure that, you know that if you paid a higher ticket price, that you have more rights than the lower price tickets. I don't know. You know, that's what they do. So I would say that's probably complaints from the people that are paying more money for the, you know, like a first class ticket or something like that, because they're paying all that money. So they probably look at it like, well, that's a big loss for them, so we'll take care of them first. That's probably the way it works. Tom Pierce says, Brooke Snyder, renting gives you mobility. That's true, too. Yeah, I forgot to mention that, Brooke, is mobility. If you ever want to get up and go, if you get sick of a certain area, you can just get up and go and move. And that's the best part about it. Some people say, well, once you start buying things here, you're stuck there because there's no moving companies. But there's trucking companies, and they'll move all your stuff for you. So don't even worry about that. And you can move from island to island. You just take ferries. So don't think, once you have a whole bunch of stuff, you can't go to another island. You can. It's pretty easy. You can move anywhere in the Philippines. Norma Borgia says, hi, Steve. Can you please give me the agent info? Norma, that information I wrote back to you earlier is in the description for her, for Mary Rose Barand. It's in the description of today's video, okay? So you'll see her email address on there. If you don't see it there, then just send me an email, and I'll give it to you, or comment in the comment section, and within 12 hours I'll get to you, okay? Jack Rebin says, we used Philippine Air, wasn't the cheapest. I think they have a good handle on the situation. Yeah, I heard some bad things today about Philippine Air. They said something like 15% of the people use the handicap thing. They sit in a wheelchair if they're older so they can get on the plane faster. And a lot of them aren't handicapped. So they get on the plane faster, they get seated faster, and they get treated better, by doing that. So they say that 15% of the people on the airplanes are all using wheelchair, which is astronomical, but that's what the article said anyway. So I found that a little bit interesting. I might even do a video on it, I'm not sure. Brooks Snyder says, my view is don't invest what you can't afford to lose, and never sell your Bitcoin. Bitcoin's actually doing pretty good. I got a little bit in Cardano. I'm doing pretty good on that. Let's see. Uncle Charles says, good morning from Nebraska. How you doing, Uncle Charles? John Wales, Steve, I looked the comments. All the three are trolls that have been kicked off off of his channel. Don't listen to the trolls. Yeah, I wasn't sure what was happening. That's just what I heard. They all three of them all at the same time came on the channel, if you noticed. All three of them. So I thought that was kind of funny. And then somebody wrote to me in the emails too, so I didn't know if it was true or not. So Mogman says, do you have to be 50 and above for the SRRV? Yeah, you do have to be 50 and above. That rule hasn't changed. I don't think they're going to ever go back below 50 again because of what happened with the Chinese getting in here. See, Brooke Snyder, Steve-O, is there storage units in Tracy similar to the West? Brooke, you can rent a home here, 1-bedroom home, and use it for a storage unit because they have bars over the windows and you can put good locks in and just use it for storage. So don't worry about storage, man, over here. You can rent a home over here, like where I live, and use it for a storage unit. They're nice, and you'll have a bathroom in your storage unit and plugs too. So you can't beat that, But I mean, if you don't have to have the electricity on if you're just using it for a storage unit. Just put good locks on the doors and stuff like that. There's plenty of places around here you can rent. No use. I've never seen a storage unit place around here because you can just rent one of these for so cheap. See, Norma says, thank you, Steve. I'll email you later. Yeah, email me later, Norma, or today's video. Look underneath the description, and you'll see that email for her. It's Mary Rose Baranda, okay? Dickie Spaz, I wouldn't recommend buying and building unless you have biological children together. Renting in the penis is the way to go. Yeah, I agree with Dickie. John Wills, Dickie Spaz, I agree with you 100%. Dead Bug Doug, what's this Oxy thing that a lot of Filipinos are doing? Oxy thing? I'm not sure. Never heard of anything about that, so I'm not sure. Let's see. John Wales says, message retracted. So I don't know what you wrote, John. You must have took it down. DP says, hi, Mike. I don't know who Mike is. I'm Steve. See, good morning from Oklahoma, says Eclipse Game Engine. Rick DeVry says, do you need to be retired military to get the SRRV? No, you just need an honorable discharge. Okay, Rick? You need to have an honorable discharge and be retired, but not retired military. You don't have to be retired military. You can be retired whatever. As long as you got $1,000 in pensions coming in, you can do it, Rick. Okay? If you need help with that, you can contact that lady. She'll get you started, and I can help you on the other end if you have any questions about getting your police report or apostles or anything like that. I also got videos on that, so you can watch that too. See, Win Duncan says, I do 6 weeks on and off. I'd be concerned about a house being vacant for 6 weeks. I'd rather have storage with someone on site keeping an eye on things. Yeah, I mean, if you know the people in the neighborhood, you should be all set. You can pay somebody to watch it or something. It's really cheap. It's cheap, cheap, cheap. Darren Coors says, thanks, Steve, for all your help. You're welcome, Darren. Let's see. Kevin Haanen says, good from Spring Hill, Florida. Welcome aboard, Kevin. See, Brooke Schneider, Steve, are you unable to travel without a Vax card? No, my girlfriend carries it, but no, here we don't need the Vax card. We don't need to carry it. We're in lockdown right now anyway. I mean, when we go to the mall and stuff like that, we walk in, they take our temperature, and you have to have your mask and your face shield on, things like that. When we go to DASMA, a lot of the stores are closing because they're just going out of business, and a lot of the restaurants are probably going to go out of business soon too. It's getting pretty bad as far as that goes, but we can pretty much go anywhere. I mean, I was telling the story the other day about Wendy's, and how it's supposed to be al fresco dining. So they moved all the chairs from the inside of Wendy's to outside where everybody walks in the mall. Like that's supposed to be like outside. So I guess they gave them the okay to do al fresco dining inside the mall. So it's like moving deck chairs on the Titanic, you know? I don't know how that helps you or changes things. But let's see. Michael L says, there is an option for SRV listed that is $20K US dollar deposit, no pension necessary. Yeah, there is. Kind of hard to make wages and 1099 payments look like a pension. Yeah, it has to say pension. You know, it has to be either from Social Security or a military pension or a disability pension or whatever, but it has to say pension. It has to be $1,000 or more a month to get that, the one for the military. Okay, and it's only like 4 countries. Eclipse Game Engine, have a house in Pandan, Antique. My brother-in-law stays there when I am gone. That's cool. Win Duncan says, might work if renting from an on-site owner. Yeah, that's the way to probably do it, you know. Renting a second house that could keep an eye on things. Yes, you're right, Win Duncan. Absolutely, you know. It's probably a good way to do it, or you can talk to some of the people around there and ask if they can keep it, you know, or if you know somebody, you know. There's ways to rent a place where you could store stuff. I actually store stuff at the other place, but we have 2 people living in there too. We use it for storage also. It's 2 units down. See, Smoky Mountain Model says, it sounds like the Philippines is getting close to the breaking point. I really believe that. With the hotels and stuff like that, there's hotels that are starting to sell out now in Boracay. There's other ones too that are complaining, saying they're going to go broke if this doesn't stop. So that something's going to happen. Somebody said today also that the dollar is going to go 60 to 1 with the peso. So if it does that, man, that's big. It might be a good thing for Americans, but with the higher prices and inflation, it could be killer too. So that could be both good and bad if it starts going back down again. We'll see what happens. But everybody's saying 60 to 1. A lot of people. I know right now it's supposed to drop a little bit. You know, the dollar is going to drop a little bit to the peso, but that's just temporary. And then they said it's going to go to 60 to 1, maybe by the end of the year. So that's huge. Randy S. says, good morning, Steve. My wife and I just received our passport card yesterday. Thanks for giving us the idea. It took 3 months due to the COVID stuff. And yeah, yeah, they have the COVID issues and a bunch of other stuff. Everybody's getting ready to travel in the U.S., I guess, because when everything opened up, they thought the world would open up, and it never did, you know. Now they're talking about booster shots, and they're saying that, I was just reading online, they said that they want to wait for all the countries to get vaccinated to 70% before they do the booster shots. So there you go. So they are probably thinking about doing these booster shots that everybody's talking about, you know. Eclipse Game Engine, get involved in your barangay, be friendly, and the people will take care of you. Yeah, they do. They do. But to get back to Randy about the passport card, it's a great ID card. Darren Course says, hey Steve, a friend of mine I served with in Iraq was with the UK Army. He served for 6 years. Does he qualify for the same? Yes. Yes. As long as he's making at least $1,000. I think it's the UK, Canada, Australia, and the US. It's those 4 countries. Okay, so I'm pretty sure those are the 4 countries. So he would qualify. Brooke Snyder, girlfriend is able to pay her staff under lockdown, but worries about the families and businesses that can't. Is there any government assistance for the people and businesses? Yeah, very little. I heard that they were doing some sort of 1,000 peso stimulus, which is only $20. It's just good for a bag of rice, if you can even get it. You know, because some people, you know, some of that money is disappearing from these people. I don't know how it's disappearing, but it is. Kumusta po, Philippines. In Texas, we are back in business, no masks. Yeah, Texas and Florida, I guess, right? They're doing really good. That's good to hear. So that's good news. I mean, the U.S., you guys are lucky, man, because you guys can go out to eat and you can do things and kind of do things normal. We're not even close to that yet. I don't know what the last amount was for us getting vaccinated. I know up in Manila, they're pretty close to reaching 50% in most places from what I heard, at least on the first vaccination. So the second vaccination, within the next 2 weeks, they should be at 50%. Now, as far as 70%, I would say maybe in another month or two they should be done in some of the areas up there in Manila, some of the cities up there. Because Manila is made up of a whole bunch of different cities, and each city is different as far as vaccination rates. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. When Duncan says, I carry my PP card as every ID when abroad. Oh, the passport card. Okay. Rather than a PP copy. Never an issue with it. No, and they shouldn't have an issue with that. And that's actually great, because that passport card is phenomenal for helping you for an ID. Because if anybody asks for a passport, you just whip out your card. It's basically the same thing. You know, because it gives all the information that they need. And if they have a problem with that, say, hey, listen, that's my passport card. You know, it might not be able to use it. You might not be able to use it to get into the country with it, but you can sure as hell use it for an ID, because it's just as good as your passport for ID. And that's all they want the passport for when they ask for it, is they want it for ID purposes. So that should be suffice. Dickie Spaz says, on a side note, how are the Filipino children taking these lockdowns? Well, they're home all the time. You know, like my little boy, he's home all the time. My daughter, she's home from college doing online classes. So the kids are missing out on a lot of school, even though they're doing some of the work at home. You almost have to babysit them to watch them to get them to do the work. It can be difficult sometimes. See, I could be isolated forever and not bother, but these kids worldwide just can't even just be a kid anymore. I agree, Dickie. It's true. Yeah. Michael L. says, the hospitals in Texas and Florida are close to full with COVID cases, mostly unvaccinated. Yeah, I heard some states are having problems, but I mean, you at some point we have to stay open. You know, I mean, this thing's not as bad as they make it out to be either, I don't think, you know, in some cases. Let's see. Kong King says, Violet is filing charges on Calvin for stalking. Kong King, you know, I just had John Wales on here, and he says that that's not true. He says that the people that are saying this are trolls. So, I mean, I don't know what's the truth and what's not. So we'll probably find out over the next few days. We'll see what happens on there, on that channel, for sure. I mean, the story I heard was he had his 2 front teeth knocked out. But, you know, I'm not going to talk about something I don't know anything about, because I don't even follow that channel. So I really... You know, I know John is on that channel sometimes, and I don't really watch the channel that much, you know, so I really don't have much to say about it, you know, and I'd rather stay out of the, you know, that type of stuff. But I did hear that. USA to Philippines life. New Jersey masks never went away, getting more intense. Kids have to wear them in school starting in September. At least there will be in-person schooling. Well, that's good. At least the in-person schooling. That's a good thing. Kumastapo Philippines says, I hear Fauci from NIH will be in jail soon. There's so much like conspiracy theory stuff out there. I just don't get involved in talking about that, because nobody knows what's true and what's not nowadays, it seems like. You know, it's just best to stay out of that sometimes. We're in the Philippines, man. We don't, you know, that stuff doesn't faze us over here that much. See, Brooks Knight says, I'm back in Ontario, Canada, just back from Lago, Florida, and we are still wearing masks and restaurants at 50% capacity. Florida has no masks and fully open. Yeah, Canada is kind of a lot different than the United States. Ricky Fuller says, Mr. Steve, if I live there for 3 years and visa runs out, can you just fly to Thailand for a day and then return to the Philippines and start all over the visa process? Yeah, on the tourist visa, the tourist thing, the visa on entry or whatever they call it. You know, there's 2 different ones. There's visa on entry, and then the other one you got to wait like 2 months or something like that. I forget how it works. But anyway, because I don't really deal too much with that. I did do a little bit about that, because the person that was talking about it was wrong. It was a girl that was talking about it and a guy that was talking about it. And when they were talking about the Visa Modernization Act is going to change everything, that was totally untrue. You know, it wasn't going to change everything. You know, everything pretty much stayed the same. I mean, they changed the name a little bit and stuff like that, but other than that, there wasn't much as far as changes for us. Everything's staying in place according to what the lawyers are saying. Tom Paris says, the news is telling that hospitals are full, but staff will tell you that is a lie. Yeah, I hear from, you know, I was hearing up in Massachusetts that all the hospitals were full, but I know a nurse there, and she says, no, that's a bunch of baloney. You know, that's totally untrue. So, I mean, the news is kind of funky lately. I just don't believe most of the news coming out of the United States nowadays. It's just not true. Smoky Mountain Modeler says King Kong should go back under his bridge with the rest of the trolls. John Wales, Jeff is correct. Let's see. Off the cuff adventures with Jamie, good or INT from the Arctic, Steve. Here we go. Good morning. Dickie Spaz says Tom Pear, fear and control. Abdul Rauf Iman says we are aging gap problems in the Philippines. All right, Kong King. I mean, I don't want to get into a thing here where I have to block you, but I mean, if you're going to start that stuff, we're not going to have that on my channel, you know? So just FYI. Actually, you know, I'm going to put you in the timeout for a while. So that finishes that off. Let me see here. I got lost here because of that. Let me fix this. Yeah, fake Kong. Tom Pear says North Carolina and Tennessee are open and no masks in restaurants or any place that I have been. That's awesome, Tom. You know, I like the Carolinas. I used to live in South Carolina and Charleston for 3 years when I was in the service. I loved it there. Smoky Mountain Modeler says you should be so lucky, KK. Michael says Kong King, Steve runs a drama-free channel here. Yes, we do. Craig Jordan, good morning, everyone. And Kong King's trying to talk to us, but his message gets deleted because of the fact that he's in timeout. Let's see. Smoky Mountain Modeler, Michael, thumbs up. James Corlow, I have the option on either an SRRV or the 13A visa, leaning towards the 13A. What do you think? James, if you can do the military one, or the special courtesy visa there, with the one with the, you know, you have to have the DD-214, or if you're from UK or whatever, you have to have proof that you were in the military. I say go the SRRV, because that way there, if you ever go through something bad in a marriage, they can't hold the 13A over your head and say, look, well, I'm kicking you out and you got to go. You know, that's the sad part of the 13A. The SRRV is a lot safer. At least that way there you know that you can stay here, you know. Let's see. Kong King's still trying to talk. He's timed out for 300 seconds. So, Mark Kimmerling, blocked. Yep, we did block him. John Wales, Abdul Rauf Aman, I haven't seen any problems with an age gap. I've met many happy couples with 30 or more years age gap. I got a little, you know, I mean, my girlfriend's like 43 and I'm 58 and we don't have any problems. I mean, it's not that big of an age gap, but still. I've seen people with bigger age gaps, and some of them are okay. Mark Kimmerling, we can individually block too. Oh, can you? I didn't know that. John Wales, Craig Jordan. Hey, Craig. Let's see. Tom Pear. Do any of the expats that you know work part-time in jobs like mechanical trades to keep busy? No. If you come over here, Tom, on a SRRV, you can work over here. But if you come over here on the tourist visa, you can't work. Just FYI. So you have to be kind of careful the visa you come over on. See, John Wales, Mark Kimmerling. Thanks, Mark. I blocked him. Let's see. Eclipse Game Engine. In San Francisco, they said the hospitals were full, but the 7-day death toll was 0. Yeah, it's kind of strange. You know, it does make one wonder sometimes. Let's see. Jay says, Steve, will a medical exemption for the jab suffice, or does the Philippines demand all travelers to be vaccinated? Actually, nobody has been demanded to be vaccinated as of yet that I know of. You have to be swabbed. I don't think you have to be vaccinated here yet. I don't think that's true. Not that I've seen anyway yet. I've read nothing about people that have to be vaccinated from outside the country. Okay, but you do have to get swabbed and stuff like that when you're in the quarantine. So that I do know for sure. And they're pretty hardcore on that. Kumastapo Philippines says the news is fear porn. Hurry, get your jab. Tom Pear says, are fuel prices rising there? You know, Tom, I don't really use fuel over here, but I heard that they are rising. Yeah, I heard that prices are rising a little bit. You know, so it is happening. Let's see, we're up to 86 people. We got 26 thumbs up. We're doing good, guys. And thanks for the thumbs up, guys. Irene Lano Boy says, "Why did you block King and not Smoky Mountain Modeler? He attacked Kong." Well, because of what he said. And no, Smoky Mountain Modeler didn't start that I could see. But I'm not going to get into this. I really don't want to get into this, Irene. You know, I did what I saw. If he said something, I didn't see it, that it was that bad. You know, the other guy had been on here before leaving some troll stuff. So that's why we did what we did. Okay, enough of that now. James Corlew, thanks. We have a pretty solid marriage, 32 years so far. Think the SRV would be easier to get. I mean, if you've been married for 32 years, James, I wouldn't worry about it. Just get the 13A. You know, that's the way to go. Yeah, get the marriage visa. That's if 32 years, I wouldn't even worry about it then. You know, like I tell people, at least 5 years in before, you know, less than that, I would say get the SRV. So, let's see. Irene, we don't have any problem with Smoky Mountain on here. We never have. I'm just being honest, you know. So, Win Duncan, I think we understand COVID and are treating it now. Lots more admits, but better results treating it now, Win Duncan says. Michael says, what about propane prices? Since a lot of the stoves there use propane, I remember it has gone up a little bit. You know, it has gone up a little bit. Not much, but since I've been here, it's gone up. John Wells says, Tom Pear, I haven't seen a rise in fuel prices. It's over $4 a gallon. I heard that the gas prices have gone up a little bit, but I know that the propane prices are surely going up. Let's see, USA to Philippine life, it says message retracted, so you must have retracted it. Craig Jordan, a third jab of vaccine is growing legs in the USA. Yeah, that's kind of scary, actually, you know. I mean, I was willing to take the Johnson & Johnson, just get the one jab, but I'm not so sure I'm going to be running to get a third jab. I think they're talking about that for compromised people, though. And that is me, because I have problems with scar tissue in my lungs from having pneumonia 7 or 8 times. Tom Pear says, which of the provinces is the easiest to travel about in at this time? You know, Tom, I don't stay on top of that because last time we tried traveling, we got blocked. You know, we were able to make it through after a while through a back road or something like that, and we made it through because we were told that we could go through, and then but they blocked us at first and says no, and then later on we were let through. So we don't even bother anymore because there's so much hassle and stuff like that. It's just not even worth it. So we're just waiting. We're just riding this storm out and just wait until this gets over. Let's see. Stinky Dave says, "Hi Steve, what's the vaccination rate in the Philippines now?" I'm not even sure, Dave. I really don't know. I didn't check today before I came on. I think it's like 12% or 13%, maybe even 14% today. You know, somewhere around there. I would imagine it's rising up pretty fast because there's a lot of people at the malls every time we go. So they've been doing a good job. They've been doing pretty good as far as, you know, getting people to go in. Let's see. Win Duncan says that is because of the monoclonal antibodies and the dexamethasone making a huge difference. Irene says Smoky Mountain should buy Calvin some front teeth. Irene, come on. Enough. Let's see. This Irene's getting kind of bothersome here. Irene, we don't really want to get into all this stuff that you're talking about. I mean, if you could please stop, otherwise you're gonna get blocked. You know, I don't even want to talk about that subject, to be honest with you. Let's see, Carlos M. How much would it be to hire a personal chef there approximately? Probably like a couple $100 a month. You could hire a personal chef. Como está po Philippines? I've been using ivermectin for 10 months now, no problems. Let's see. James Curlow says, yes, the U.S. just approved a third shot for people with certain health issues. Yes. So that's what I figured. Let's see, the Manila Times says it's 16%, so that's pretty close. Yeah, I knew it was somewhere up around there because they've been moving pretty fast. You know, and actually, guys, up in Manila, some parts of Manila are right around 50%, I believe, at least for the first dose. And that was like about a week ago, so they must be like right around 50% on the second dose, or fairly close to it, you know, or within a week of it. USA to Philippines life. Speaking of age gap, my wife and I are 11 years apart. I think that's a good gap. Before we met, we've spoken to younger Filipinas, but conversations always ran out of stuff to talk about. It's very hard to have a conversation with some of these younger Filipinas. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I don't think I could sit down with a 20-year-old girl here and have a good conversation with her. I mean, there are some smart girls here that are younger, but man, you know, I think anything below 35 or even 40 for that matter, for somebody in their 50s or 60s, forget it, you know. I mean, yeah, they're good to look at. I mean, I did a video about that. You know, they're great to look at, but, you know, other than that, you know, you can come over here and you can marry a 9 or a 10, as you know, as far as beauty goes, but as far as brains goes, I mean, she's probably like a 3 or a 4, you know, because some of those girls, all they do is they stick their head in the phone all day, and that's all they do, you know. And I'm just being truthful. Go to the mall and watch them, you know, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Let's see. JD says the SRV trial news is exciting, Steve. I'm going to email Mary Rose this weekend. Yeah, JD, contact her, man, if you're interested in doing that. She'll give you, you know, information. She'll take care of you. She's good. Luck Albert says, hey, Steve, wondering if you can now choose the vax you get, or do you need to take what they give you? Well, some places do have some of the vaccines, like the Johnson & Johnson and the Pfizer, and they get some other ones too that are out there, but they have the Sinovac. But the majority of the places still have Sinovac, but they do have other ones. They've been giving most of those ones to like police and frontliners and stuff like that. But yeah, every once in a while they'll open up to other people and they'll give those to you too. So yes, my girlfriend actually got the Johnson & Johnson. So, you know, you can get choices here, but you got to kind of shop around. Michael L. says, it still baffles me that an anti-parasite agent can do anything against the virus. So let's see. Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting about the ivermectin. Is kind of. Tom Paris says, when I was staying in Thailand, there were checkpoints on some roads that I traveled on back in 2014. Did you ever notice these in the PI before COVID? Yes. Tom, back in the 1980s, late 1980s, they used to have checkpoints, military checkpoints. Yep. They were pretty cool, though. Most of them were like military. Sometimes you go to an MPA checkpoint, too. So they did have them. Actually, the one I went through was an NPA checkpoint. You know, it was just outside of Iloilo. So, Lloyd White says, the Philippines or Ecuador? Still debating. Lloyd, both are a good choice. Actually, both are good. As far as like finding a decent spouse or something, or a girlfriend, Philippines is the way to go, but you're gonna have to wait. I don't know what Ecuador is doing right now. John Wales says, Tom Pear, I've lived in 5 provinces here. There have been checkpoints in each of them pre-pandemic. My opinion, if you are really interested in a 20-year-old, spend a week in AC and get it out of your system. Then find yourself a 30-year-old lady. That's an interesting take on it, Win. USA to Philippine life. Moderna vax, most effective against Delta variant compared to others. The others are just as good, but if you have the choice, go with the Moderna. I hear all kinds of mixed bags on stuff like that, so I don't know what to think about that. Because there's going to be other variants coming soon, so I'm wondering how all these are going to play out on those too. John Wales says, haven't been through an NPA checkpoint yet. That was years ago, John. That was back in the mid-'80s. The mid-'80s, somewhere around there. It was like around 86, 87 maybe, I think. Probably around there somewhere. So, yeah, that was on the way to Boracay, actually. DJ Joe says, U.S. expat here living in AC, being on a Balikbayan visa from 2019 to 2020, been doing extensions for 6 months already. Finally processed my paperwork and got my 13A visa appointment this week at MBI. That's cool. That's good stuff, you know. Yeah, the Balikbayan visa and the the 13A. I mean, those are both good things to get in here and initially, get started here. But yeah, the 13A is the way to go for some people if you've been married for a while, I think. SRV is good too if you want to be safe and you're in a young marriage. Tom Pierce says, John Wales, don't bother getting homesick for the USA. They have no Jack Daniels in stores, all sold out. There we go. That's funny. They still got old smoky moonshine though, Tom, don't they? I'm sure they got that. You know. Michael L says, can confirm the Moderna is good as the Pfizer, some mRNA sequence, just different lipid jackets. Mark Forsyth says, hello, I've been sharing your info with my fiance as we plan to move in the year to the Philippines. She is excited to watch your show today, and we both appreciate all the info. Yeah, we had that was good info today. I was really glad that Mary Rose shared that with me and then she made sure that we could put that out because that was really exciting news. And at first we weren't sure if we could put it out because it was just a trial and they weren't going to put it. They're not going to put that up on the PRA website because it's just a trial. But then they said, other people are going to know anyway, I guess. And then they said we could put it out. So we're lucky that we got that because we were the first ones to put that out, and that's great news. So that's actually awesome, fantastic news. Mark Forsyth says, hello, I've been sharing your info with my fiance as we plan to move in a year. Oh, let's see, we already read that one. Okay. USA to Philippines Life says, Echo variant coming soon, LOL, hope not. John Wells says, Tom Pear, really? I can buy it here for $28 a fifth. I buy the local rum for $2.50 a fifth for 80 proof. Michael, Jack Daniels, yuck. Arana, where's that? Let's see, Tom Pear, I actually bought some Old Smoky as a backup. Not too bad. Yeah, they have like the, what do they call it? The apple pie. They call it apple pie one. And then they got the cherry one and stuff like that. I took some of that to Belize as a gift. I don't drink that much, so I mean, but I handed it out for gifts, and the people that drank it said that they did some pretty crazy things the night before when they were taking it. So that stuff's pretty strong. Sperlin Edwards says, excellent news. It was, yes. Ricky Fuller, do you have to get the SRV visa before you get there? Or can you get it when you first get there? You get it when you come here, okay? And you have to, in order to come in to do it now, and they're just opening up to let people come in to do this, if people do want to do this, you have to get the EED first. That's like the entry thing. It takes a while, but you're going to go through the PRA, and they'll do it faster for you, probably, from what I'm understanding. Then what happens is once you get that, then you get the 9A visa, because you'll have the EED to get the 9A visa, and then you can come in. But you have to do all the quarantine stuff. You still have to do all that. And then they have they also only allow 1,500 people a day in, so you might not be able to get in on that day. So there's a lot of problems still with all that stuff. So they could actually, you could be ready to take off on your plane, and they could say, well, okay, 6 people are going to have to get off. We just hit the 1,500 quota. And that could happen, and it's usually the lower price tickets that they take off first. So just FYI. Sig, is it really necessary with all the drama? I just don't get it. Why can't we just focus on sharing info, helping others, enjoying? Let's see, Sig, I'm definitely not going for the major expat areas when I go over there. I'm going to enjoy life, not to participate in all the drama among the expats over there. That's what I mean. Over here, man, where I'm at, there's not a lot of expats, and the expats that we do have are pretty decent. And we got some good expats getting ready to move in here. We got Brooke on here right now. He's moving in this area. And we got a couple of other people that are coming here too. We got another guy, Mike. He lives around the area. He's a nice guy too. He kind of stays to himself a lot though. Galloway 737 says, Steve, my daughter and her boyfriend both recently tested positive, as well as a co-worker, and all 3 had the Johnson jab. Yeah, that might have been the Delta. So let's see, USA to Philippines, 13A from me, I think. By the time we are living in the Philippines full time, we'll be married 10 years or so. Yeah, you should be all set. You should be all set. So we're up to 114 people. We got 40 thumbs up, so we're doing good. That's good. Scotty Reninger says, as you rebuild your life, are you renting or buying a home, moving around the country, finding a place you like? you know, I like it right where I am. I mean, eventually, when my daughter finishes college here, I probably will move to a different place. But right now, I'm happy here. This place doesn't bother me. I like it here. I'm good. JD says, Steve, I'm one of those expats with a girlfriend with a large age gap, 50 to 24. I always remind myself to be patient with her. Any conversation issues. And for us, it works well. I respect all opinions. Yeah, it can work. I'm not saying it won't work. I'm just saying it can be difficult, So there are some girls out there, that are in their 20s that are, they're smart. I've met quite a few here, so it's possible. But there are a lot of girls that are just self-absorbed idiots here too, that are always into their phone and other stuff. And I've ran into quite a few here, Tom Pear says, John Wales, 250 for 80 proof. LOL. I will end up with a butterface girl for sure when I get moved there. James Curlew says, Steve, thanks for all the great info. You have established a great channel. Go honey-do list. There we go. Yeah, we've actually got a great group of people on this channel. That's one thing I appreciate is you guys, and we get like a lot of you guys are like regulars on here on Saturday nights, and I'm really happy with that. We have some people that just drop by in here once in a while. And that's why I try to stick with every Saturday night here. If I'm ever not on here, just tune in the week after, because it just means that I missed it because I'm either sick or I got busy or something like that. But I usually try to keep Saturday nights open, guys. I just want to let you guys know that, that I do appreciate you guys. And we do have a really, really good group of people. And we do try to weed out the people that do cause problems on here. Eventually, I just block them from the channel if they cause too many problems. And I've had to block a few. You probably see a couple thumbs down every now and then on my channel. That's from those people probably, because they were blocked out and they can't comment anymore, because they were just getting rude. So we do try to keep it clean. Some people are just, when people start attacking the host or whatever, and they just start getting insulting or attacking other people, that's when I just kick them off, because we try to keep it a great channel for everybody. I know we talk politics every once in a while a little bit, only because things have slowed down to the point on here, with news about moving over here, that we have to kind of mix it up a little bit. And I know you guys enjoy both. And we have a lot of people watching my stuff when we start talking a little bit about politics or China or something like that. I try to stay off the political aspects too much. I try to talk more about the problems that, like China, or we talked the other day about the minimum wage and stuff like that, because that's like a worldwide issue. It was kind of interesting, some of the stuff that people wrote. Some people always call me like a socialist, and I'm about as far away from a socialist as you can get. Trust me on that one. And I don't want to get into politics here, but I don't know where they're getting that from, because I wrote about I talked about Medicare and how we already have Medicare, so why not do something to fix it so that we can lower the age a little bit, and also to do portability. That'd be great for expats. Let's face it, we need portability. So let's see. John Wales, JD, my 28-year-old is a lot more mature than this 61-year-old is. Let's see. Brooks Schneider says, Steve, any updates on the pool you're gonna build? Hope it's already when I arrive. LOL. I don't even know if we're gonna build the pool. I'm still thinking about it. I'm actually, I'm thinking it's just a few more years before, my daughter finishes college, and we'll probably get a home with, in a gated community with a pool. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do that or not. If we do, it'll just be a, one of those pools that you put up and it lasts a few years and that's it. Well, and, you can get a cheap water filter for it, So Adam L says, I try to catch you on Saturday myself. Thanks, Adam. I appreciate that. Randy S says, we've been married 20 years and we have a 13-year age difference. Life is so good being happily married. Yeah, it does make a difference to have a good spouse or girlfriend, And eventually I'll probably end up getting married, and we're pretty happy. John Wales says, Craig Jordan, and laughs. Sun Moon, John Wales, I always pray for your future sobriety. Let's see. JD, really appreciate your channel, Steve. Thanks, JD. Appreciate it. James, is there any really good restaurants that serve traditional Philippine recipes? There's tons of them. Yes, there is. Adam L. John Wales. Hey, man, I haven't been on in a little while. Let's see. John Wales, Sun Moon. Thank you, son. I appreciate it. Adam L. James, I can't speak firsthand, but from what I heard, Filipino food isn't the highest rated. I'm not a big Filipino food fan, guys. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't eat much Filipino food. Very little. I eat mostly Western foods. So even though I live here, some people find that strange, but yeah, I don't eat hardly any Filipino food at all. Very little. The closest I come to that is going up to Panda Express. I love Panda Express. I love their food. They have good food. I love their orange chicken. Let's see. JD says Medicare portability actually saves U.S. money, and as care overseas is so much cheaper. You're right, JD. It's true. But they look at it like, well, you're going to have to get insurance over there because nobody's going to want to spend the ticket to fly back and then fly back again. That's the way the U.S. looks at it, unfortunately. And we're just like we're hardly anything, as far as percentage-wise of the people that, matter. So they don't even really care that much about us. I hope that happens because there is a group out there. Matter of fact, we talked about this before, and they're trying to change that portability. It's actually a whole bunch of Filipino nurses too that I think that started that. Let's see. Tom Pierce says, Steve, you need to update your intro line about your blog. I think you are over the divorce for sure. Yeah, I got to change that. I know what the one you're talking about. Yeah, it's old. I gotta change that. I gotta go back in. Maybe tomorrow. That's a good idea, Tom. Thanks for letting me know that. Yeah, it's been a long time. I put that in the beginning, but yeah, you're correct. Let's see. Cleverson Souza. Hello from Cleverson, Brazilian, living in Tokyo. Welcome aboard. Wow. Let's see. Hard Bop says, what do you think is more likely to happen? For what? Portability or age getting lowered? Age getting lowered. Age getting lowered is probably going to happen, probably more likely. Portability might happen, might not happen. I give the portability about a 25% chance of getting in there, maybe 30. Just because that group is pretty hardcore and they're going to really try to press on that hard. So we'll see how that happens. Let's see. John Wales says, I'm not a fan of Filipino food. Adam says, do you think it's hotter living where you are or Miami? In general, year-round. I think it's hotter here year-round, for sure. We never really get a cool season. We get cool breezes here once in a while because we're 423 feet up in the air. Brian Adams says, I love Filipino food. DP says, your videos are very, very great, Steve. Thanks, DP. Paul Osborne says, hey, Steve, thanks for a great channel. What is the cost of false teeth in Manila? I think it's about $400. There or abouts, right around there. You can get them cheaper in some places, but it's right around $400 or less. Okay? Let's see. Adam L., I love Thai food myself. Actually, some of the food that's up at Panda Express might be Thai food or connected to it. It's mostly American Chinese food, they call it. American Chinese food, because it was really invented in the U.S., but they make it look like you're eating Chinese, like some sort of Chinese food or Asian food. Like the way they prepare it, it just has that look, and you serve it with rice. And it's really good. Let's see. Michael says, Lechon and Lumpia are good. JD, Steve, are the gyms there for weightlifting open? Actually, right down the street, no. No, they're not. They're closed. I always see them cleaning it, wiping it down, getting ready for the next time that they can open. It's kind of sad with what they're doing to the gyms and to some of these stores, some of these manicure places, some of the salons. Massage places, legit massage places, they're all getting hurt. All of them are hurt. They're all hurting. Hotels, people that take people out for boat rides, things like that. All of them are hurting. They really are suffering here now. And if they don't do something within the next 3 months, a lot of these people are really going to be in trouble. There's going to be, I think we're going to start seeing some mass bankruptcies over here with some of the hotels and some of these other places, like in Batangas, places like that. I can see some places getting seriously hurt or closed down because some of these people just can't afford to take these hits anymore. They just can't. Jack Redmond says, I eat Philippine food almost every day, almost every day in the USA. I like it. Some I like and some I don't like. Like lumpia I like. Tom Pierce says, I had the 25-year-old girls wanting to lock me down when I was in PI, but what I really enjoyed was spending time with the 40-year-old intelligent woman that were also beautiful. Yeah, there's a lot to be said, you know, for having good conversation, man. Sitting down, having a drink, and just having dinner with somebody that you can have a normal conversation with, you know, and that says something, you know. Let's see. RLV says, sir, have you tried going to Chinatown? No. The reason why is Chinese food over here is way different than Chinese food in the U.S. Because the Chinese food in the U.S. is American Chinese food, just like I was talking about earlier with, you know, with Panda Express. You cannot get American Chinese food here anywhere, except for Panda Express. Like the food that we think of back home in the U.S. at a Chinese restaurant is totally different over here. It's not even the same for the most part. Some cases it will be, but most cases no. You can't get the things that a lot of stuff that most Americans like over here. It's not the same. See, Roger Miller says, is the restaurant selling unlimited steak open in Dasma? No, it's actually closed because it's unlimited steak, so you can't do it al fresco. So they closed. Let's see, RLV says Chinese cuisine. Brian Sherry says, hello, Steve. Hello, John Wales. Long time no see. Welcome back, Brian. Win Duncan says, I think there is a chance of dropping Medicare to age 60, but I just don't think enough people care about portability. Not enough voters care, though it would save money. Yes, it would, you know. But yeah, like that's why I put the, you know, the chances of that happening pretty slim. Although those people are complaining. There's a lot of people now that come from outside the country, and some of those people have a pretty good voice in the country because they might want to go back and retire in their country. So the portability might happen. There is a possibility people might start voicing their opinion if they hear more about it, you know. See, John Wales says, Brian Sherry, hey Brian, good to see you. DJ Joe says, that rookie quarterback for the Pats, Mac Jones, if he continues what he did in week 1 of the preseason, he might be starting quarterback for your Pats. I haven't heard anything about that. I'm going to have to look that up. I miss Brady. You know, I used to see Brady on top of his home when I used to ride along the Charles River. I used to be an Uber driver in Boston, and there was a fire one time in one of the places there. And when I looked over, I could see Tom Brady standing on top of his roof looking over, because it was like three or four buildings down from his house, and he was standing on top of the roof looking over, and I could recognize Tom Brady a mile away. And later on in the news that night, it showed him standing there, so I thought that was kind of cool, you know. Eclipse Game Engine. My wife has adopted her Filipino recipes to suit both our tastes. Yeah, you can kind of change them around, which is kind of cool, like with the lumpia and stuff like that. Tom Pear, price-wise, should I buy my RX glasses there or in the USA? I have no optical insurance. It's cheap here, Tom. It's cheap. It's dirt cheap. For $100 or less, you should be able to get a good pair of glasses. I paid about $100 or less for mine. Mine were like the trifocal. Like it had one for looking far away, one for mid-range, and one for reading. You know, and I love those glasses. You know, I don't wear them all the time, but I do love them. And I had like the coating on them for, you know, if you're looking at a computer and all that stuff. And they also have the, I think they even put the thing on there for outside too, so they start getting darker. See, John Wales says, Eclipse Game, let's see. How did it go with the dried fish? I'm not sure. Oh, he's asking somebody something. Chris Reed says, are they reopening Clark, and what's Pinatubo look like? Pinatubo it's been kind of uneventful right now. I haven't heard anything about Pinatubo at all. Clark, no, they won't reopen Clark. I heard there's something going on about an airport, but that's for the Philippines, the Philippine Air Force, I guess, because they're getting some planes and stuff like that, I believe. As far as Subic goes, there's stuff going on up at Subic with that thing for repairing ships, and also they are building some sort of base there, whether it's for the Philippines or letting the U.S. use it as a forward operating base, which wouldn't be like a U.S. base. It would be a Philippine base, and we would just use it if we needed to, or if they want us here. So I think that's probably going to be happening. There's U.S. troops in here, I think, at any given time, right now, in some capacity. There's a lot going on here behind the scenes. They didn't want to talk after that meeting that they had with the Philippines, nobody opened their mouths because I'm sure they didn't want China to hear anything. So that's just what's going on. I don't know that much enough about it to really comment other than just what I said, you know. Brian Adamson says, John Wales, my wife's family couldn't believe I was British. I ate all the food they prepared and never complained. John Wales, Tom Pear, I got a pair here, exam frames and lens for about $60. Yeah, you can get them less than $100, you know, here. But if you get like the trifocals, they're about $100, you know. But yeah, they even have better deals than that. I've seen sales and stuff like that on eyeglasses over here for like $20 or $30 when they go on sale. But you got to find them. You know, they're not always available. John Wales says, Brian Adams said, did you even eat at the Balut? Let's see. Craig Jordan, a recommendation to try some Pinoy recipes at Panglasan Pinoy here on YouTube. James, I heard to avoid the Philippine street food for health reasons. Yes, I don't recommend eating street food at all. Brian Sherry, great price. I'm going to wait until I get a new pair of glasses. Yeah, the glasses over here are cheap enough, man, that you'd probably be better off getting them over here than in the U.S. I remember in the U.S., they were pretty high on some of their glasses. They have good frames over here, too. These glasses here I paid $3 for. These are reading glasses. No, I take that back, $6. These are reading glasses, and they're really good. And you can see the coating on them, you know. Let's see. Smoky Mountain Model says, have you tried the soup number 5, John? Let's see. Brian Adams says, I tried. I couldn't do it. Let's see. I actually enjoy the street food. No balut. Yeah, no balut for me either, man. Win Duncan says, the voice in the nursing industry is the unions. I haven't seen one mention of portability in the monthly union publication magazine. No, it's a group of nurses, Win. It's not the unions. It's a group of nurses that have gotten together. They started it, and then other people jumped on board. People that were living, like, they come over during the 60s, 70s, and 80s or whatever, and now they're retiring. And those people, they wanted to have a voice because they figured if they go back to the Philippines, they want to have some portability because they didn't want to have to pay for insurance over here. So that's how that all started, you know. Let's see. Sorry, guys. John Osmond says, why not negotiate PI portability with a Medicare Advantage plan? Some might have the flexibility to put this in their plan. They do have a plan that some people have been talking about, but I'm not sure if that's good for only a year over here or if it's good permanently over here. There's been some people talking, saying it's only good for a short time or whatever, and you kind of have to go back and forth to keep it active. So, and the other thing is you have to pay up front. So that's the problem with some of these things that they have already. By portability, that means that they want to pay the hospitals direct over here. They want to cut out all this other stuff. Because right now, we're kind of, you know, some people are screwed over here. If you don't have money to pay right up front, then, you know, you're kind of dead in the water. Let's see. But I have the access card through Pacific Cross, so like they pay the hospital directly for me, up to $30,000 US. Let's see. John Wales says, Brian Sherry, be careful with the street food. I got food poisoning from it. Let's see. Brian Sherry says, ouch. We got people talking about the Rocky Mountain oysters here, so I'm just kind of riding through that. Let them have their conversation. Tom Pear says, this no commercial live stream is kind of like a reward for watching all those commercials during the week. Yeah, it is, Tom. You know, a lot of people don't watch those. I tell people about just to get back on the commercials to talk to you guys. We don't accept any, like, of the Patreon or any of that stuff where you super chat or all that crap. I'm done with it. I make enough money off the ads. You know, right now we're actually taking a hit on the ads because a lot of people during the summer go away and stuff like that. So we're down like about 30 to 40% as far as ad revenue. So we're way down, you know, so we haven't been making that much. So that's why I asked you guys, if you can watch the ads, please watch them. It does help. That's the only money that we make is off those ads, you know. So just let them run, you know, and just, if you can. We do appreciate that when you guys do that. It does help us, you know. Craig Jordan, Smoky Mountain Model. I used to live in the Philippines once upon a time. Let's see. Sonny G says, thanks, Steve, for the info. Going to give the SRV a try. Yes, Sonny, just, yeah. get in touch with Mary Rose and she can help you out. John Wales says, Tom Pear, thumbs up. Let's see. Chris Reed says, what type of work is there for expats 20-year heavy equipment operator experience? You wouldn't get paid much over here, man. You don't want to work over here. Seriously, you just don't want to work over here. It's just not worth it. See, we got about 108 people on here. We got 56 thumbs up. We're doing pretty good. We're going to be closing out probably in about another 10 minutes here. Chris Reed, what type of work is there for? Let's see. Oh, that's the same thing. Brian Adams says, I will make sure I watch all your ads, Steve. Thanks, Brian. It's appreciated. It really is. If you guys can watch the ads, it really helps us here, especially right now because now the ad revenue is way down. And a lot of the people, once they start watching the channel, they just skip through all the ads and then we don't make anything. You know, and we've been taking like a hit on that lately, really bad. And don't forget, we don't, like I said, we don't ask for any Patreon. We don't do, you know, everybody is treated fairly on here as far as like, you know, like right now, because if you have the super chat, they move to the top. And I don't agree with that. You know, just because somebody donated $5 or a buck or something. I don't want that. I don't want that money. You know what I mean? Because all I want people to do is have it for free, you know, and it's just watching an ad. You know, I don't want any money from anybody. I get offered, people write me stuff all the time, offering me valid buy-in boxes full of stuff. I won't accept it. Let's see. Brian Cherry says, we'll get your ad revenue back up there in no time. Thanks, Brian. I appreciate that, man. I mean, I'm not begging on here for that, you know what I mean? So just, if you don't want to watch them, don't watch them, but it does help me. I'm just saying it does help me. You know, John Wales, Chris Reed, you don't want to do that at Filipino wages. No, you don't, man. Craig Jordan, Steve, what is that resting place you film on your video walks in that park? What is the name of that park? It's called Forest Park, Craig. That place where I sit and rest used to be the dog pound. I used to talk about that a long time ago. And because I complained about the dog pound, because the dog pound, they weren't feeding the dogs properly, they were throwing the rice in the feces on the floor, and the dogs had to eat the feces with the rice. And I was watching these guys feeding the dogs like that, and the dogs were all getting sick. In fact, most of them were dying. That's how bad it got, and it smelled so bad down there. So I complained to the mayor about it and showed her some pictures, and then they went down there. She sent a crew of people down there, and they took the dogs out of there, and they moved them somewhere else. But now they use it for manure. Not manure, fertilizer rather. And they let things break down in there. But they do have chickens in there now and roosters and stuff like that. So that's why you hear some of the roosters crowing right there. Some of the people that work there, you know. Chris Reed says, I was thinking just extra cash if I'm already retired. I mean, if you wanted to, but you'd have to come over here on a working visa of some sort. That would have to be the SRV, and you'd have to register here and stuff. But it's not worth it. You know, it's just not worth it. Why? When you come over here to retire. You know, relax, do something else, get a hobby, do something, live, really live. You'll find plenty of things to do here. I do. You know. Wynn Duncan says, got to realize that people make like 300 pesos, $6 a day in the PI. Moving there to work for local wages is crazy. Yes, it is. Yeah, nobody would want to work here. You know, John Will says, Chris Reed, probably $12 for a 10-hour day. Probably, but that's nothing. Who wants to work for $12 a day? They would barely cover my lunch, you know? Seriously, you know? So every man had a story. Why don't all you Calvin guys send money to Steve like you do to Calvin? I don't want anybody to send me money, man. You know, like I said, just watch my ads there. Every man had a story. I don't need people to send me money. I won't even allow it. So that ain't happening. Chris Reed, oh hell no. Mark Richard, why do most homes in the Philippines haven't any closets? I don't understand. Where are you going to hang your clothes up at? Oh, they got these ruby lockers. They call them ruby lockers. They're plastic lockers, but you can have lockers made. And that's what we do. We hang our clothes in there. You know, we do have places to hang our clothes. Every single person in this house has a place to hang their clothes up. Paul Osborne says, under the modified quarantine, how about getting the massage lady to do house calls? I don't think that's allowed right now, you know. I went and got a massage up the street the other day just before they did all this, and then they closed it all down again, you know. So actually me and my girlfriend both went there on the same day. And it was, you know, they did a good job. But I mean, it kind of sucks for those people. I feel bad for them because when they close down, they reopen. Everybody forgets about them for like a month, and then they find out that they're reopened. So they suffer for another whole month or more, you know. Real Old Geekster, let's see, he says, I am a premium YouTube person, so I pay a fee to watch, but I do not see any ads. Do you still get paid for me to watch? Yes, we do. We get a small amount every month from premium YouTube. Okay, so we do get paid for it. It's not a lot, but we do get some. It's a small amount. It's like $20 a month or something. KM says, how much more does a foreigner pay when negotiating to buy a product? Most of the world, it seems to be 25 to 50%. You know, over here, I never pay more than what anybody else would pay. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I send other people out to get all my stuff if I need something. And when I go to stores, it's always the same for everybody because the price is right there. So, I mean, you know, it's just the way it is. And see, we got Dwayne on here. That's my buddy back from New Hampshire. Dwayne, I'll probably give you a call afterwards. I'm almost ready to shut down here anyway. But actually, guys, I'm probably going to let you go now anyway because I got some stuff I want to do tonight. But I want to thank all you guys for joining us tonight. And we will be on here next Saturday night again. And we'll be on at 10 o'clock as usual, 10 p.m. Manila time as usual. So I want to thank all you guys for joining, you know, tonight. And like I said, I appreciate it. And guys, remember to watch my ads. I appreciate it if you do. I really do. It really helps a lot. Okay, guys? Thank you, guys. God bless.